There are a lot of personality traits that we need to talk about if we want to establish if someone has the ability to become successful in life. But one of the things that is hardly ever mentioned is the skill of accepting reality and being anchored in the real world. It's something that is almost never mentioned anywhere, not in spiritual guides and not in self-help books. I'm assuming there isn't much money in convincing people to be realistic. Despite my spiritual awareness and contact with my inner self, I'm also strongly rooted in reality, and I consider myself to be extremely logical. This allows me to see the world for what it is, and it allows me to identify those who are on the opposite spectrum of the ability to live in the real world. About a decade ago, I started observing and paying attention to this particular personality trait, and to my astonishment, I realized that I'm surrounded by a surprisingly high number of friends and family members who are chronically out of touch with reality. As I got older, I started seeing around me the destruction that this mindset is responsible for, and it gave me a huge dose of appreciation for myself and others who are accepting the world around them as it is. So why do people become detached from reality and choose to live in their imaginary world? I identified fear and low self-esteem as the main reason for it. I would say 90% of all cases are a result of bad parenting. Very often people's self-esteem gets damaged by trauma that causes them to deploy a lot of escape mechanisms in order to function as normal people. Sometimes it's the environment that is at fault, and it could be a competitive nature of their surroundings, like for example, sibling rivalry. Sometimes it's a fake environment with artificial ego reinforcement. That happens a lot with child celebrities or even pretty girls. In this case, these people, due to the easy nature of their existence, do not engage in real-world interaction, missing out on cultivating a personality. If you would like to know what I'm talking about, look up on YouTube the interview of Steven Tyler on Joe Rogan podcast, or go to the interview of Chubby Checker on Opie and Anthony show. These people are so self-absorbed in their own reality that they don't notice how little contact they have with normal people. So let me explain first what a person avoiding reality looks like. They are mainly characterized by irrational and illogical thinking. It's one of their most striking characteristics that leads to the development of a fake personality early in life. These people have a herd mentality and they follow fashion, trends, and political propaganda without ever questioning the validity of the information they consume. They're constantly concerned with the opinion of others, and they're always fishing for approval and attention. They are allergic to any form of truth and logic, and they'll avoid people who take them out of their tiny bubbles. They are filled with doubt and disbelief, and they're very suspicious of anything you tell them or anything that they hear about, while at the same time being very dishonest themselves. Ironically, they have a very strong fake belief in their own superiority and the superiority of their beliefs, which can sometimes lead to grotesque situations where they can be surrounded by minds much more advanced intellectually and they will be still laughing at them. People who live in denial are very often characterized by low IQ, and almost all of them are uneducated as a result of their closed-mindedness. They have low morals, and most of them are scared of life and themselves. Their most frequently deployed defense mechanism is ridicule, anger, and aggression when confronted with truth and logic. In fact, they are very emotional and have irrational reactions to normal everyday situations, sometimes throwing childish tantrums. Denial is their method of dealing with everyday problems and truth confrontations. Their lives are very often built on lying and deception. They keep a lot of information to themselves, and what comes out of their mouths is usually strongly self-censored. They are slaves to their ego, which means that what the society thinks of them and what it expects from them is their most important priority. They are counterproductive in their actions, and they develop a lot of time-wasting activities. They are hardly ever getting desired effects of their actions, and they repeat the same mistakes over and over again without ever correcting their methods. Their pathological reaction to everything real leads ultimately to very strange behavior. They're usually unable to be on their own, and they engage in all sorts of distracting and trivial activities. They talk much more than an average person, and you'll see that they use a lot of unfunny jokes and artificial positiveness in order to create a notion of fake happiness. They don't make good friends, and they go through a lot of friendships and relationships in their lives. Eventually, they become depressed and their lives fill up with all sorts of addictions. So the main thing would be now to discuss the methods of dealing with this type of personality, and unfortunately I must admit that I have never been successful in dealing with people who choose to live in denial. In fact, very often I would give them a choice saying that I can get you out of that world and I can make your life really good, or I can leave you there and you will slowly deteriorate, losing everything and everyone around you. The answer is almost always the same. Leave me where I am now because I'm happy here. I guess they didn't shield themselves from the real world in a utopian dream now to go back to it. You can make things a little better by showing them the benefits of accepting the truth, either with your own example or by introducing truth into their lives. You can also try making them feel worthy, and you can go to the root of the problem by dealing with their self-esteem issues. Honesty usually seems to be a good medicine, but many of them will want to avoid honesty from you because it's something that is very difficult for them to process. We also need to discuss the dangers of being detached from reality and hiding in one's little fairy tale. The biggest problem of having a life like that is its quickly deteriorating quality. It's like trying to build a house by piling up all the bricks and construction elements and pouring concrete on all of it, trying to model it into a house. It just doesn't work and you end up with a mess. Sooner or later, the personality of those who live in denial turns on them, and that which they try to escape grows bigger and stronger and eventually catches up with them. You will observe an increasing amount of problems in their lives, and you'll see even stronger loss of contact with reality. Sooner or later, they'll start losing contact with their friends and family members, and eventually they end up with lots of serious financial, personal, and health problems. I have heard about people who pay the ultimate price for their imaginary world. This mindset has the potential of taking away one's life. So let's talk about why I made this video, the benefits of living in the real world. To use the house analogy, it's like building a house from foundations, then laying the bricks and then getting to the roof. You end up with a solid structure that you can benefit from for the rest of your life. The biggest benefit of not running away from your problems and yourself is a good quality life. You'll have an interesting existence where you have a chance of being successful and becoming an exceptional human being. You will stay true to yourself and you'll get to live with an amazing understanding of the world around you and the processes and mechanisms governing it. You'll be able to achieve results in any area of your life, and you will have the ability to create and improve your existence. You will live a life filled with virtue and a sense of self-worth. Absence of fear is a very important element of a realistic approach to life. You'll have emotional stability, better health, and you'll be able to fix your problems and find solutions. One of the things that I personally enjoy is the ability to not use your memory, because every time you will say anything, it will be the truth and it will be the real you. So now we are left with only one question: how to stay anchored in the real world? It's very simple. You need to have the courage to face yourself and your problems. Never run away from anything. Call a spade, and don't blame anyone for anything. Take responsibility for your actions and know what you're made of. You have good and bad personality traits. Have the courage to accept them all, because the price you'll pay for lying to yourself is much higher than the pain of acknowledging your flaws. As Ayn Rand said, you can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to this channel.